Hey everyone, I'm Bilal. I'm one of the co-founders of Poof, and today we're going to be vibe coding a Pump.fun clone together, or any token launchpad really. But before we get into that and the fun stuff, I wanted to just give a quick overview of what Poof.new is. Poof.new is a vibe coding platform that specializes in building Solana dApps, Solana tech. So you can imagine that you can build like a web app that actually does unique on-chain interactions with tokens and NFTs and things of that nature. Um, so yeah, I use Poof all the time to test out the product. I've been building really cool shit internally, so I figured I'd turn on the camera, build something cool together, put it out there. You can consume it however you want. It can help inspire you. You can get better at vibe coding, or you can think it's shit. It doesn't really matter. I'm not claiming to be the best vibe coder out there. There are people that are really good at this, but I figured I'd kind of just help people at least get started and learn a little bit. So let's just go ahead and get started. Enough of me rambling. I'm gonna start with a very simple prompt. Create a pump fun clone but for movies. So let me go ahead and get my console set up kind of the way I like it. I like seeing more of the preview and kind of what's being created and less of the text, but people have different preferences. And so the way Poof New works is when you first give it a prompt, the AI will kind of digest that prompt and spit out a UI for you. And the UI won't actually be connected to any back end or smart contracts or anything of that nature. And that's by design because the way software development works is you want to start by figuring out the feature set that you want. And a good way to do that is just getting a UI, what your end users are going to use, right? So we'll do something like that. So it's going right now, and it's generating a little mock UI based off the prompt I gave it. So let's give it a second here, and we can take it once it completes. Okay, cool. So it looks like it spit something out here. To be honest, I don't love it. It feels very corporate-y. So I'm gonna tell it to change it a bit. So let's go. Okay, I'm gonna be brutally honest with Poof. Okay, this looks ugly. It looks too corporate. I want it to feel. I want it to feel like a token launchpad. So when you enter the site, the first thing you should see is a bunch of movie tokens, and that should be the emphasis. A way to search movies by title, and a button to launch a movie token. So let's just tell it to do that. So now, yeah, it's just gonna refine the UI, clean it up, and get it to where I like it. Okay, this is much better. We are somewhere. There's some funding progress and stuff, like little UI quirks. I'm not gonna spend too much time in the UI because it's self kind of explanatory. So let me just do one little last UI text because I hate the name movie launch. What a boomer name. No one's buying my coins if no one's or launching using my product. It's called movie launch. So let me kind of change the name here. Can you rename the site to movies.fun? Also, I want to give the site a red carpet theme. Purple is not it. The tokens should feel like movie posters. Also, let's remove the buttons. Create movie and browse movies. Those are taking up too much real estate. And what is this back button? Oh, I don't want that. Also, I want this to all be on one single home page. So let's do that, and hopefully that can kind of get at least the UI in a better place, and you can focus on the cool stuff. But if this is your project, feel free to go crazy here, make the UI however you want it. I just don't want to bore you right now with UI changes, which I think is like more self-explanatory on how to do. Okay, I like this a little better, but if this was your project, I would advise maybe spending a little more time on the UI. But it's something. It's something, as market caps and sold, holders, progress, whatever, different movie posters. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop with the UI here to bore you with me. Although if this was my project, I actually find this a lot of fun and I spend a lot of time working on the UI. But let's go off and show off the real capabilities of Poof. So now what I'm gonna tell Poof is I'm gonna say, okay, I like the UI. Let's make it work. So now what Poof is essentially going to do is it's going to take your UI, take all the context that it has from its recommendations and the chat that you've kind of feed it into it, and it's going to build out what we call a database task. And that's one component of the way Poof builds apps. And database tasks handle both traditional like Web 2 databases and our Web 3 protocol on Solana that we wrote to kind of do on-chain actions. So it figures out, hey, what should be on-chain, what should be off-chain? Do I need to do any cool on-chain capabilities? Like here, I told it I want a pump fund, so it's going to work on building out a virtual bonding curve similar to the one that Pump.fun uses, and it'll make those changes. And once it does that, then it will create a UI task, and the UI task will go in and look at all these changes that have been made and update the UI to kind of hook into the back end. So two very important things to know when you're vibe coding on Poof are UI tasks and database tasks. And there's another one which we'll probably get into here later, but if you know these, you can actually get pretty creative with your prompts to Poof. Like you can tell it specifically, like, hey, create a UI task to do this, or hey, create a database task to do this. So let's let it do its magic and work, and then we'll circle back here. Okay, looks like we're back here. So now basically what Poof did was it built out your database, your smart contract, your bonding curve logic, and everything of that nature. And then it took the UI and it got rid of that mock data that you saw, and it's using real data now. So you can see there's no movie tokens found, and it's telling you to launch one. So this is kind of like the empty state, right? Which hopefully your product doesn't have this problem, right? But obviously when you're first building it, you're gonna have this empty state. But I wish all your products that you build on Poof are booming and doing well and whatnot. So before we kind of get into it, I do want to talk a little bit about what Poof does and how it works and how it's different than other protocols. So one of the cool things about Poof is you have this thing here called a control room. And what the control room is just like, as the dev, you can just like get unique insights to your applications and kind of how people are using them, the data model, things of that nature, which, there is a learning curve here, but like, it does get easier the more and more you vibe code. So Collection Explorer is simple. You have like different collections. You can kind of think of it like a database entry, and you can expand it. Like here, movies, you can see that, hey, this data is actually stored on chain, and here are some fields like token name, symbol, image, who the creator is, and these are, you can ignore these. I mean, if you're very curious, you can look into how this stuff works, but it's basically how Pump.fun's bonding curve works. These are the numbers it needs to store to basically do the math behind a bonding curve, right? But I guess these are pretty self-explanatory. And then right now there's no rows found, but here you can actually see data in your app. Like if someone was to go and launch a token on your website, or in this website, in this context, you can actually see it here in kind of like an admin view of the rows being added. And then, so this is some on-chain data. Here's another on-chain data that represents buys. So that's kind of cool. And then we have another piece of on-chain data that represents sells, right? So that's cool. If you want to get really technical, the way Poof essentially works is it generates these AI and human-friendly policy file. And this is how Poof is able to kind of do a lot more than any other vibe coding platform out there. This is actually gets compiled and runs on Solana, right? This logic. So you can see here, and we plan on putting out much more documentation on how this stuff works. but you can see here, this is where the logic of the bounding curve essentially lives. And if you're curious, you can like study this code if you're really technical and understand how it works and whatnot. And then there's constants, which are like here. So this is kind of like the default that the AI kind of gave me because I didn't want to burden with more questions. So it ended up, since I told it to, make a Pump.fun version of the movies.fun. So what it did was it took Pump.fun's numbers, right? So it made it so that the token supply defaults to 1 billion. This number is largely 1 billion but that's because there's 6 decimals, and that's just the way numbers are transcribed on chains because you want to avoid rounding errors with decimals. Admin address, it defaulted to my address, as you can see here. And yeah, these are the numbers that it kind of uses inherited from Pump.fun essentially. So that's kind of cool. Secrets we'll get into. If you want to hook into some external API, like some sport feed or even movie feed, which we'll do here shortly, you're going to want to go and create an API key if you want to use an external API. And you can tell Poof, like, hey, let's use this API. I have an API key. You can supply it in a secure way, which is really important. You don't ever want to expose your API keys. So Poof was built with security in mind, not just API keys, but also how we do like on-chain components, because this policy file that I was talking about earlier is much more easier to for both you to audit and an AI to reason about and audit. And we actually do what you didn't see under the hood when we were the task was running to build out the policy. We actually have some AIs to kind of help audit your policy as well. So that's kind of cool. And then backend actions are just like you get backend services. Sometimes there's certain logic that you want to run on the backend and then feed that information to your front end, which is like the website itself. So here you can kind of see, which we'll come to later, is a bunch of different endpoints that you can call and actually logs. You can see the logs of your backend services, and this is very, very helpful when you're debugging things. You can just literally copy and paste a backend log to Poof, and it will kind of help decipher what's going on and it'll help the AI fix it essentially. And then you can obviously see the client logs, the logs on the website itself on just like traditional Chrome developer tools, which you can Google and figure that out. But quick overview, obviously, if you have more questions, the Discord's always open. My DMs are always open. We're here to help. So I'll kind of get back to building and spare you with those more details. That stuff is there if you want to kind of unpack a little more. But cool, so we have the bonding curve. Let's look at launch movie token. You can see, cool, pretty simple. Movie token name, movie symbol, choose image. That's cool. Pretty self-explanatory. I can connect wallet. It uses Privy by default, which is kind of cool. So you can connect with any wallet you want, or you can connect with emails on your websites. So that's pretty cool. But one thing, obviously, you're probably thinking is like someone can come here and just launch Fartcoin. That's not a real movie, right? So we want it to only let you launch tokens for movies. We want to keep our product clear. We're not really going after the Pump.fun market or the bonk market. We want to make it so it feels like you're kind of investing in movies in this space. So let's tell Poof that. Can you make it so that people can only launch tokens for actual movies? A way to verify that the token is being launched is for a movie. Also, make it so that you can only, excuse my spelling, launch 1 token per movie. All right. Let's see what it does now. I'm actually curious what it does now too, to be honest, so it's exciting. Yeah, I geek out by this stuff sometimes, so bear with me. So it looks like what it's doing. It's saying, okay, great idea. Adding movie verification will ensure the platform maintains quality and prevents spam tokens. Perfect. That's exactly what I talked about. I'll implement a system that verifies tokens are real movies using a movie database API like TMDB. Okay, that looks like some external API that it knows about, right? The AI knows about that it wants to use. This will include movie verification during token creation database tasks. Okay, cool. So it's creating a database task to update the movie token system to include movie verification and force 1 token per movie database for external. Cool. And it's going to create so let's let it do its thing. Okay, we are back here, so let's try this out. Let's see if it worked. It says to search for Fight Club, and we hit search. And look, if found a movie, right? But let's search for Interstellar or something, I don't know. Okay, that didn't work. So It looks like it has all the movies, but not all of them, which probably means it's using the like a free tier of this database API. So one thing, or this whatever it's called, I forget which API it's using, TMDB. So one thing was you can see that it actually didn't create a backend task, and in this case, we would want a backend task if we're using a custom API, because we don't want to expose our API keys to the front end. So just to kind of get it going and kind of get us something we can play with and kind of test and validate it, use what it did right now. But what I'll do now is I'll say like, hey, I have an API key because it says movie database API. So I created an API key to this, which, you know, whatever API it gives you, you can go and Google it and usually figure out how to create an API key. So I'll say, I have an API key for TMDB. Not all movies are showing up. Can we use my API key to not get rate limited? Or be on a free version, perhaps. So let's see what it says. So anytime you have an API key, you can come and tell Poof that like, yo, I have this API key, I want to use this API, let's use it. So it recommended it to me. So now it's saying, okay, you have an API key. You can go to manage secret values. So these are just some project secrets, and it's saying here, you want to add the key. So let me go ahead and grab my key here. I have it up in another screen. I'm not gonna expose this hopefully, and I don't get doxxed. But I have this API key, so I'm gonna skip this part. But basically what you do is you add your API key here, so then it builds it in a very secure way, so that it won't even be exposed to me. Like once I put it in, I won't even be able to see it, right? So, and that's what you need, that type of security for API keys. So I'm just gonna paste my API key here and save it, but I'll obviously skip this part. Oh, cool, it's even, but I can reveal it. I'm not going to, but it password protects it, or so. Let's save that secret. Cool, successfully saved secret. Oh, we don't want to do that. Okay, so now what I'm going to tell it is, okay, I added the API key. Let's use the API in a secure way. Let's see what it says. I'm going to get rid of this brightness. So now you can see it's creating an API task, which is important. So it's creating a secure backend. So the way you can kind of think about it, if you're not a dev, or have any familiarity with how full stack development works, APIs are things where you just an API task is where you can just talk to an external API, and Poof does it all on the back end and not the front end. So your like API keys aren't exposed and they don't get hacked or something of that nature. So Poof is like, it's pretty smart on when to use certain things. So like I told it to use an API key, and it automatically knew that I need, okay, an API key is here, you've embedded a secret, let's create an API task. But yeah, it's always good to just like be weary of these things and be aware of these things. So let's let it do its work. That seems to have worked. So you can see it finished the API task, which, just to reiterate, anytime you want to use an external API, you should use an API task. And then a UI was basically to hook into the new API task. So let's say you want to see, of course, it's already on backend actions. So you see now it added these endpoints, right? So you can use these endpoints, and it uses the TMD API. It uses the API key that I gave it to essentially verify the movies, and you can actually even see logs, which we'll see in a bit. So let's go ahead and just try this out, and let's see what happens. I'm gonna go ahead and open in a new tab. You can do it all within here, but I prefer kind of seeing it as its actual website. Oh, pretty cool, pretty cool. All right, let's connect my wallet. I'm gonna use email, but I'm gonna skip this part because I don't want to give out my email. But you could connect with a Phantom wallet as well. It's kind of the beauty of Privy. Okay, cool. I'm logged in. Pretty cool. So let's launch a movie token. Let's see if this works. And let's do Interstellar, search movies. And wow, look. It's coming up with all these movies. So let's launch a movie for Interstellar. Let's select this guy. Token symbol. We'll just call it int. And there's a token creation variable. 0.2 sol. Okay, cool. Launch verified token for 0.2 sol. Let's do this. One caveat is the way Poof works is before you publish your app to mainnet, as you can see, the network is DevNet. And what DevNet is like a test network on Solana. So I don't actually, this is not real money. I wish it was. It's DevNet Sol. We have tutorials on how to get DevNet Sol on the website. Come to the Discord, and I can also give you some if you want. And that way you can kind of test your transactions on DevNet before you go to mainnet and kind of use real money. So if I hit approve here, let's see if I'm able to launch a token. All right, cool. Transaction completed. Okay, that might be a bug that we can tell the AI how to fix, but let's go ahead and refresh. Okay. Loading movie tokens. Give it a second here. Okay, so something seems off here. It looks like I was able to create it, but I can't see the tokens, right? So that's normal. So one thing with this is like you might want to view the web console logs. Usually is a good idea to do. So you can go to View Developer Tools, JavaScript Console, depending on what browser you're using. So you can see I'm getting these errors, right? So I'm just going to tell Poof this error, and let's see what it does. I was able to create a token, but after I am getting this error and just seeing a blank screen. And let's see what it does with this information. Okay, I'm back, and look, cool. It actually shows the Interstellar movie we created. Marking up to 0.4 sol, whatever. This stuff is probably not 100% the way we want it to work, and you can work with the AI to kind of get it to be where you want it to be. But cool, just to double down on what I did was usually when you see an issue, you can go into the web console, which is the console that I went to. If you see any errors, tell Poof about it. It can kind of help guide it. If you don't see any errors, it might be a backend issue, which if you look here and go to back, like if I refresh these logs, you can see that this is when I searched for Interstellar, it gave me a log, so there was no errors here. But if you saw an error here, you could copy it and paste it into Poof and kind of help you kind of debug the app and kind of get it working. But cool, let's see. We have the app. Let me just here's the app with the token. One thing I want to show is the actual let me just copy my address from here. Ignore that. And I want to show the actual transaction, right? So SolScan, if you go to SolScan, you can see actual like transactions. Let's go on DevNet because we're on DevNet, and let's just look up the address I'm using. You can see 5 minutes ago we ran a transaction. Cool. What did it do? So this is the new token that we created for the Interstellar token. Kind of cool. On DevNet, the data isn't as pure, but if this was on mainnet, you would see more like the Metaplex data. But here you can see we created 1 billion of token. What address is this? This is the actual token address. So this is the mint address for the token, the CA. This is the token account. So you can see that it minted to this for this guy. Then it transferred 0.2 sol from me to an address. This is the address that's used to like for the liquidity of the bonding curve. So like it was able to get some sol in, and then yeah, we were able to get some of the tokens, right? So, and this is just like a protocol fee for Poof. So cool. Look, we got a real transaction. Kind of ran. So one thing is, yeah, we traveled the 0.2 sol. Is the point to sol given to like a fee? What address is this? I'm not sure what address this is. Oh, this is like the Metaplex fee. Of course. So this is the Metaplex fee. So you pay in Solana, you pay Metaplex, the protocol that kind of does tokens and NFTs, a fee. So yeah, look, it did everything exactly that it was supposed to do on DevNet. So that's kind of cool, pretty powerful stuff. We were able to create a token. Let's see if I can buy one. Yeah, let's just trade token. Okay, cool. Let's say sol amount. Obviously, we probably don't want a $sign. But let's just say like 0.5 sol. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna receive this many tokens for 0.5 sol. Let's buy it. Approve it on DevNet. Cool. Let's go back to my address, see if any transactions came in. Or sorry, let me find my address again. It's the, which one was it again? This guy. I keep doing. Okay, cool. Here's a new transaction 34 seconds ago. And things are just a little slower on DevNet, but you can see, yeah, it ran a transaction with the programs and things of that nature. Let's see if it gives me more the highlights. Okay, cool. Just took a second. You can see I got the tokens into my account, right? So pretty cool. All on DevNet, it purely vibe coded, right? So let's do something fun here. Let's make it so that I want to take a fee, right? If you're building a protocol, it's pretty important. People like to take fees. So let's say when someone creates a token, I want to take a 5% fee on the 0.2 sol. We could change that 0.2 sol if we want, but right now it's just 0.2 sol. It's defaulted to it. You can send the 5% to my address, which is, let me grab this guy again. Which one was it? It's this guy, right? That's me. So you can send it to me. And let's let it do that. Oh, typo there, but let's let it work its magic here. So what it's going to do is it's probably going to update the database to embed your new logic into the protocol, for our program, and give me a 5% fee so that all bond tokens that are launched basically give me a fee. So yeah, if you want, you can play around with this UI more. You can say like, hey, I want to show my supply, play around with the market cap, the bonding curve progress. Poof also does support graduations, so if you wanted to implement the graduation flow with Meteora natively, it supports it, so it could do that for you as well. But yeah, let's let it kind of add this fee. So let's go ahead and try to launch a new token, and let's see if it has a fee. So if I launch movie token here, I don't know, I really liked F1, so let's search for F1. Okay, it looks like we're getting an error. So if I go here, so sometimes the AI does this, not ideal, but, or sorry, that's searching. It's cool that that's working. But if I search for F1, we're getting an error. So if I look here, if I look at the console, oh, it looks like it's throwing an error. So I'm going to tell Poof about this error. I am not able to search for movies anymore. I am getting this error on the client. So client is like how you can refer to and on the back end. Let's check if there's any backend errors. Let's refresh this. Oh yeah, there is. See, I'm getting this. I am getting, and we should honestly stringify this better. It's probably a fix I can take to do. But look, yeah, look, and we're getting an error. So this would be good, kind of a sample to kind of walk you through the error. Let's find a success case. Okay, it used to work with this. The backend used to work with this log. So it's probably something on the front end that it changed because we didn't actually do the update to the API. So let's see what it does here. So you can see it's creating debugging tasks, which is like a special type of task. The AI is engineered to be more oriented around debugging, which is a very different way of thinking than like actually building net new features. So it's kind of embedded into the brain of Poof, you can call it. Okay, we're done. And unfortunately, I accidentally shut off my Loom for what I just recorded. Whatever. Bear with me. I'm still kind of new to this. So yeah, as you can see, nothing else ran. This is the last task that ran. I see the issue, and it ran the debugging task, right? And I was able to create a token for F1. I thought I was recording, but not. But it's okay. We'll just do it again. So yeah, this was the last test that ran. I gave it the errors, right? I'm able to search for movies, and then it ran the API query parameter. And then the fixed front-end movie search query transmission, which is just fixing that error of not being able to see verified movies. So as you can see, I launched verified F1. So let's go ahead and just do that again. So I'm logged into my wallet. Let me just show you. I'm going to do one of my favorite movies, Spirited Away. Cool. And then SA, we're going to launch it. Confirm transaction, approve, boom. And we launched it, cool. And it showed up instantly. So this time, as you can see, we have these 3 movies that we've launched tokens for on DevNet. I'm gonna go back to my account here, zoom this time. I accidentally did it again. I'm gonna refresh it this way. Okay, so you can see 33 seconds ago, it ran a transaction. But this time, as you can see, well, of course, right? This one's a little confusing because I told it to send myself the fee, which it did, but it's kind of redundant because I also paid for the transaction. So as you can see, 0.01 Sol was sent to me. So we minted it, same thing as ever, the Metaplex fee. So yeah, so we have 3 tokens. Let's try to buy and sell one of them. Let's buy Spirited Away. I'm gonna buy like, I don't know, 0.2 Sol or 0.3 Sol worth. I'm expected to get that many tokens. Cool, I did it. I bought some tokens. You can see at the bottom right, it's telling me I bought some tokens. So let's go back here. Okay, refresh this way. 19 seconds ago, you see the new transaction came in. Give it some time. Like I said, DevNet for Solana is a little slower on SolScan. Look, I got my tokens, but let's sell some tokens. Let's just sell like 1,000 tokens. Okay, that's not really gonna give me a lot of Sol. Okay, there you go. Let's get 0.0288 Sol back. So let's sell these tokens. And cool. Look, I'm selling the token. Cool, I successfully sold. So this is all running on a bonding curve, completely verified. Pretty cool. There's little UI quirks where some of the data is incorrect, but you can, instruct Poof to fix these UI things. It's quite powerful in that. So back to gallery, you can see the market caps are kind of updating as well a little bit. This says 1.0 Sol market cap. The holders are wrong, but like I said, you can prompt the Poof to fix these little things. The main thing is that what I really wanted to show off is the fact that you can do like real on-chain dApp capabilities. So let's go to the sell. This is the sell transaction. So you can see I lost my tokens right here. That's the number of tokens I sold, but I did gain some Sol back, right? Because it sent some Sol to me. And it looks like I also included a protocol fee on buys and sells to me as well, which is pretty cool. So yeah, cool. This is pretty cool. You can obviously, these little like quirks and percentages and rakes, you can instruct Poof to kind of tweak to what you want to get the product that you want, tweak the UI. One thing I wanted to show off is the control room before I go. Here you can see you can actually see the actual data that's being encompassed into your app in like one core view here, right? So I can see the data fields. If I refresh this data, I can see the movies, the Spirited Away. I can see F1, and this makes it really easy for you to kind of dev your app, right? And you can see the data. You can also instruct the AI based off these fields. Like let's say I wanted to get rid of a field, I could instruct the AI to essentially get rid of one of these fields and whatnot, and clean it up however I want. It's more of a readable way for you as a dev to kind of consume it. It gives some instructions on who can do what operations, because security is really important. And if you're not happy with anything here, you can instruct the AI, like basically like, can you change who can do what? Like let's say I wanted to make it so only certain people can launch movie tokens. I could look at this, see who can create tokens, movies, and then change on the UI. So quite powerful. Backend options, secrets, the policy. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. Cool little site I built. Yeah, as always, DMs are open, Discord's open. Really excited to see what you all build, and if you guys like this, I'll continue to do it. And yeah, this is just scratching the surface. There's a lot more you can do with Poof and building cool on-chain apps for your tokens and whatever it may be, or if you want to create tokens. Yeah, we're just scratching the surface here. Really, really excited. It's an honor to build this product. It really is, and I'm really thankful for all our users, and hopefully you guys can build something that really, really takes off. So